Hi, welcome to Tunapika Tidbits. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you why size matters when it comes to cake tins. So let's get started. Whenever you see a cake recipe, I'm certain they usually indicate the size of tin you're supposed to use. For example, I'll use what's near here. Like on this cake mix by Caroline, at the top it says you either bake in a 22 centimeter baking bread tin like this, or you use one 10-inch tin like that, or you use two 8-inch tins. Oh, sorry, that's not 8-inch. This 8-inch tin. So, and you might be wondering why does the tin size matter? And this is what I'm going to explain today. So the tin size matters because, as you can just tell from the tins, this is a 10-inch tin, 10-inch diameter, and this is an 8-inch tin. You see, this has a larger surface area. See, larger surface area. So if you're baking like a 1 kg tin cake, which I would assume like the mix I've shown you yields, when you use this tin, the cake will be wider and shorter. And depending on the amount of cake batter put, the cake might even bake faster when it's here. And you've noted in the recipe, that pack, it said use either two 8-inch tins like this. So when you use two 8-inch tins, now you're dividing the batter. Reason being, whenever you're baking cake, you should make sure that the batter, once you put it inside the cake, shouldn't go above like the halfway mark. As in, well, there's no mark. You have to estimate for yourself, but it should not go beyond halfway of the tin, such that there's enough room for the cake to bake and for lack of a better word, grow well. So that's why tin size matters. And something like this, a bread tin, you see, it's very narrow. It's narrow. It's not the surface area to volume ratio is not big compared to this. You see, this has a very huge surface area to the volume of the tin. This one, on the other hand, is very narrow. So meaning whenever you're baking in this, just be aware that when you're baking, it will take longer to bake. That's why when you look at recipes, like when you look at my banana breads recipe, maybe any bread recipe, you'll find whenever you're baking in this tin, it will take almost twice the time. Sometimes it can even take up to an hour. So those are the things you need to consider. And as a rule of thumb, if the recipe by any chance hasn't said the size of tin to use, just remember what I've said. Make sure when you put the cake batter, it's up to half of your tin, such that there's sufficient room for the cake to bake well. Otherwise, when you use, let's say like this is a 6-inch tin, 6-inch round tin. If you fill it with so much cake batter, for starters, it will take long to fully cook. And now the problem is the bottom will start to brown, the top will start to brown, whereas the center is yet to cook completely. So for you to be able to cook the center completely, you will end up burning the bottoms or the tops, or even overcooking the top. That's why you also find, another thing, in addition to maybe possibly burning, another thing is if it does not fit into the tin nicely, if the tin is too small for your cake batter, you'll find like some cakes really dome and then they explode at the top. Of course, there are many reasons to that. It could be too much flour, over mixing and all, but another reason that can cause that is also the wrong tin size. So this is something you have to be aware. When you're baking, size does really matter, and it affects the look of the cake, it affects the general size of the cake, it affects the time it takes the cake to bake. And you may be wondering, I'm not a home baker, so I'm just into hobby baking once in a while, maybe once a month. So I'm not looking to collect so many cake tins in my house. So you may be wondering, which size should I get? I usually advise people to get like an 8-inch tin, and when you get it, just get like 2 of them, such that you're able to divide your batter into 2. When you have an 8-inch tin, essentially you can comfortably bake a 1 kg cake with 2 8-inch tins. If you're feeling a bit extra in buying, you can buy a 7-inch tin, but this one buy 3. It will even give you a taller cake, because now if you're working with 1 kg of butter, you will divide it amongst your 3 tins. So if you're looking to build your cake tin collection, I would advise to start with an 8-inch one and get 2. It's good to have. It's always best to have a loaf tin if you can, and a cupcake tin. So that's it for today. In case you have any other question regarding baking or this, let me know. I usually try to do this Tunapika Tidbits. It's not just about baking. Any food related tidbits that I want to share, I'll share with you. Otherwise, asanteni sana from me Gateri. Kwaheri.